I got a lot of female friends, and they always tell me these dating stories. And so one thing that's so shocking to me is they're telling me, hey, a lot of these guys on the first date, second date are offering, like they will off the females, the bill will come, they go out to dinner, and my girlfriends will literally offer to split the bill just as a nice gesture. And half of these dudes are like okay with it or letting them pick up the bill.
Yeah.
As a man, I can never be okay on the first date, even the fifth date, letting a woman pick up the bill. To me, it's embarrassing.
Of course. So the thing
why is that? I was shocking.
So one of the things is why my course exists is because there's certain things that men are supposed to get. And back when we had more of when you consider, like, say, even the 1950s or go back to the 1850s, the United States lived much closer to a tribal environment. And what I mean by that is, like, men grew up and learned to hunt and fish, and they would beat each other up, and there was like some rough housing that would go on, very similar to like a Native American tribal environment, or at least more similar to an ancestral environment where men had a quote unquote rite of passage that they had to go through. We do this in the U.S. military, sort of a rite of passage. Then you get a badge, or you get your rank increases, etc. Because we don't do that as much now, the boys don't get it anymore, and there's no one to teach it to them. So that's why my course exists. In my course, I would tell you, of course, like if she says we're going to split the bill, it's a trap, all right? Or if she says that we're going to split the bill, you can let her pay for the whole thing because she's letting you know she has no intention of ever having sex with you. No one, like, I've never had a woman who wanted to have sex with me ask to split the bill. That just doesn't happen. Or she would ask.
That is true.
Or she would ask to split the bill, but then I would pay for it. That's the difference. So the thing these guys don't understand is that, like, yes, she's putting that out there. Now, from a man's standpoint who doesn't get it, that seems very duplicitous. A woman has basically entrapped you. That's illegal. Like, she's entrapping you to make you think that. But yes, as a man, we should just know better. Initially, that is our point. I don't pay for dinner to show I have money. You know why I pay for dinner? I pay for dinner because if I don't, it's awkward. Yeah. And you want to use money to create a reality for you, and you never want to let things get awkward. There's been several times.
But even if I'm out with my guy friends, like if you and I went out to lunch, like I wouldn't split the bill.
Yeah.
Like, I'm picking it up.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? In my situation, I've had this happen before where there was a bunch of us that were all eating, and we're trying to split the check, and I saw things getting awkward, so I just paid for the whole thing. Yeah. I'm just not going to, in fact, and I didn't let anyone see me do it, Rich. I got up, found the waitress, gave her my card, and just I'm taking care of the whole thing. Yeah. And the guy back, and I acted like it was, I didn't even act like I paid the bill, guys. I act like it was just taken care of. Now, obviously, I paid the bill, but you could interpret that as the manager just gave us our food for free, which used to happen at SDK when I would bring like 14 girls there. Something like that would happen. But the point of money, and a lot of guys, because I know you have a lot of people, very concerned with money in your podcast, that watch your podcast. One of the things is, as a man, your money should either be making your life easier or creating money for you, right? You should not be spending money on bullshit that does not help you, number one. And number two, when it comes to dating, you don't want to buy, you're not buying affection from women. You're creating a reality that funnels the type of woman you want into your life. Does that make sense? Yeah. So having a nice house in a nice location where you have parties where lots of girls come over, you're funneling a possible girl you may want to date into your life. Well, you use money to chisel out a reality where your dream girl feels comfortable being around you. That's what money's for. You're not buying her affection. Like, again, on a first date, you give a girl a necklace. That's buying her affection. Yeah. Horrible simp game. Yeah, agreed. Nothing but that's totally terrible. You're supplicating. But what you do instead is you create a reality. So for me, it's like I go to Mastro's all the time. I love going to Mastro's. I go to Mastro's. The chef comes out. He knows me. They hardly charge me for shit. And whenever I go there, because I'm always bringing influencers to the place, they're very fucking nice to me. Because they're nice to me, I go out there and the girl just sees, while everyone knows who this guy is, now her anxiety drops down to zero when she's with me. There's attraction triggers and comfort triggers, and she feels much. The girl would never dream of asking me, look, I'm going to split the bill. That would never happen. So that's one of the situations, because I put out that vibe of very, early on, like what's going to happen. And if it's not going to work, it's like what you said before. Hey, I don't think we should go to the game together. Mm-hmm. Instead, I'm going to call you an Uber and you should go in this direction. I'm so quick to do that, but I just put them in the friend zone and I don't treat them any differently. And it's another thing that's really different about what I teach my clients.
I love that you said that. Yeah. Because I have a lot of guy friends from back home that they're not around girls a lot. And when they're around girls, they like lock up. Around guys, they're totally fine and normal. I'm like, dude, the way I talk to my guy friends is the same way I talk to my girlfriends and females that I'm dating.
Treat them all the same.
All the same.
Treat them all the same, make them talk about themselves.
But to your point about paying when I'm dating a woman, I'm like, hey, if you want to grab coffee or ice cream every now and then, cool. I'm cool with that. I'm never going to let them pay for the big ticket stuff, especially the nice dinners, even if we're dating long term. But I'll give you an example. I was dating a girl recently, and we were in a like late night, it's like a little like burger joint. We're grabbing a little Sunday bite. It was like a $15 item or whatever. And she went to go pay, but I was like, hey, don't do that. Because normally I would, $15, not a big deal. But we were in front of like 20 dudes. And I was like, dude, that is embarrassing to me as a guy. I just feel like I cannot let a woman pay in front of all these 15 dudes. If we're grabbing coffee and no one's around, okay, cool. So I don't know. I just, for me, I'm like, I don't feel like a true man if I'm like letting the woman pay even in front of other guys.
It is interesting that we see the world that way.
Because I want to be a gentleman.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, what we don't want is for women to only want to be with us because we have money.
True.
Unless you're Brad Lee. Brad was like, well, at least you love me. I know why you love me. I don't give a shit.
Well, here's the thing. I don't want, like some guys want to date women that make money. I'm like, I don't need that. Like I go out and work hard and bust my ass in business and real estate, so I don't have to go date someone that makes money. So I'm not looking for that woman that's going to be an attorney, doctor, and kind of that type A and alpha. I was recently dating a girl that's going to go do all that sort of stuff, and I was just like, you know what? I don't need that. I don't want that.
Yeah, I was dating one of the biggest fitness models in the world for a while, and we're still really good friends. I love hanging out with her, talking, whatever. But it was one of these situations, like you said before, like one of the executives at Disney set up an entire Disney escape for her, where she got to spend the entire weekend doing the coolest stuff at Disney, and then the next week she was in Ibiza and paid for none of it, while she's making $300,000 a month, posting fully clothed images on OnlyFans. Clothed in bikini. She doesn't even do it implied. And I'm like, we can't be in a relationship. Like, it's not going to work. I mean, obviously this is ridiculous. Like, it's not going to work. I need you here. So like that's what, the issue why that wouldn't work. But yeah, you're exactly right when it comes to that. I just like, let people do whatever they want to do. It's just when women don't want to take accountability for the fact that, like, again, if I took steroids for 20 years, then all of a sudden, like, hey, Michael, just want to let you know, like, you're having trouble with your liver. Well, it's my fault. I took steroids for 20 years. But if you do the same thing to a woman, is be like, hey, you've gotten a little overweight and it's actually causing you to not be able to carry a pregnancy to term because it's hurt you. No, it's men's fault. No, it's not. It's your fault. You didn't pay attention to biology. For everything, if you want to do things, like, again, if you want to hoe it up when you're in your early 20s and you want to film with multiple men on your fucking OnlyFans, but you're making a grip, you're making a ton of money, and you're investing in real estate, you're going to have a ton of money. But later on, when a quality man that you're looking for wants to fuck you but not date you, don't blame men. And that's the problem. Like, these women just do not grasp this concept. And the other thing is, like, for men, and men are becoming more intelligent when it comes to this. I've had a debate on this with Jamie Lynn and the guy who owns the studio, John Orlando. And I'm sorry, like, the data is very clear on this. The more sexual partners a woman has before she's married, the more likely she is to cheat and the more likely she is to divorce you. That is just a fact. It doesn't mean it's a 100% correlation, but it's a 70, 80% correlation.
Yeah, then versus the person that's only dated one person their entire life.
But like, if a woman's been with more than 20 partners, she has like a 17% chance of staying in a marriage. And I'm listening to women actually tell me there's no correlation between multiple sexual partners and getting divorced. And I'm like, okay, if you have a sales guy and this sales guy's had like, say, 5 or 6 jobs, and he's constantly getting offers on LinkedIn for new jobs, and you're like talking shit to him, and he's like, I know I could get another job in 15 seconds. He's more likely to leave.
It's the same thing.
How does that make sense? But yet a woman having multiple sexual partners filing for divorce doesn't make sense. I don't understand. You're just not using logic. It's obvious that's the case. And you might say, well, what about men being more likely to leave because they had multiple sexual partners? Well, guess what? Who's filing for divorce? 80% of divorces are being filed by women. Men aren't leaving marriages, period. So them having multiple sexual partners is not the issue. Now, everything I said I can back up with data. Everything I said I can back up with data.
To your point, would you say that there's a correlation with the woman that is on these online apps, Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, because she's going on way more dates and she's more considered a serial dater, that she's more likely to move on as soon as shit hits the fan?
So she's actually not a serial dater. You should read this.